and thank you for joining us today. This is Deborah Lloyd from WP-WebWorks.com. Today we're going to take a look at the what, why and how of using images in blog posts and web pages. So without further ado, as Chip Gaines says, let's get to it. We're going to talk about what geeks call images and the rest of the world call photos or pics. We're going to talk about creating images to support the narrative of your blog posts. And we're also going to talk about creating arresting images to use on social media. But before I get into the how of images, let's just cover a few places you can go to grab royalty-free images. The people over at Getty Images are probably puking right about now at the thought of that, but oh well. Free, a couple of resources are Pixabay, Pixabay.com, gratisography.com, which is gratisography.com, and another interesting one is Kaboom Pics, which is KABOOMPICS.com. Those are all free. Paid resources, iStockPhoto.com, bigstockphoto.com. They do actually have different things on them, and stockunlimited.com. They're all good paid resources. It's always smart though to check the licensing on things, because even some of the images on free sites do have a requirement that you give a photo credit, so please do check that to make sure you don't get into any trouble with them. But there will also be a comprehensive list of both free and a much more extensive list of both free and paid image sources in our upcoming image optimization course, and you will be able to sign up for the beta course of that, which is starting in mid-May. I will have something at the end of this video for you to do that. Every picture tells a story, or does it? I think it depends on how you use pictures to tell a story. Your story, or maybe one of your clients' stories, your students, a patient, or their family member. But basically, I'm going to run through some images that I've created and used on clients' blogs and websites. And bear in mind, I have no formal graphic training or design training, although in a past life I did decorate wedding cakes for a living, but that's another story, and I do have the pictures to prove it somewhere. But my point is that you can create, or anyone can create, beautiful arresting images with some very cool and free tools, and if I can do it, so can you. So my favorite graphics tool is Photoshop, and it does have a learning curve to be sure, but as my original, I should say, WordPress coach told me, life changes once you learn Photoshop. That was a few years ago though, and Photoshop is available now by subscription for just $30 a month. It used to be like $1,200. So that stopped a lot of people from using it besides the learning curve. But it's well worth the cost, and it's well worth the effort to learn it. But maybe only if your business is going to require those that level of design skills. There are other easier options you can use to accomplish the same thing without the learning curve and without the expense actually. But this is a slider image I created for a client. It's a piece of jewelry. It also happens to be a company logo. She makes high-end limited edition pieces. She also makes some very affordable pieces as well, but these high-end limited edition pieces tell a story, and she creates custom pieces that tell your story. So she blogs about that at sculptedjewels.com, and this is a great example of a student that I've taught who's actively and currently using her blog to grow her business. But this is her logo, and this is something that I created for her that we use on her website. So you can use images to support the narrative of your blog posts, even if it's about dengue fever, which, believe it or not, she had a client who wanted a custom piece made for his girlfriend's birthday. She asked, what does Kate do and what's she passionate about? And it's a great story and well worth a read. But when she sent the post to me for layout, I was flummoxed, or gobsmacked, as we say in England, as to what we would use to do the story justice. So she showed me her sketches, and now I should tell you, she's based in New South Wales in Australia, so we work together virtually via video screen. And anyway, she had these grubby, poorly lit photos taken with her cell phone, and another of the DNA strand from a textbook was also taken with her cell phone, and this was a challenge. But I figured if she can take a DNA strand and make it into a beautiful piece of jewelry, I for sure can figure out a way to create some fabulous images to demonstrate that process in a blog post. So the second image on the right is actually her hand-drawn sketch of the piece with the smaller details pulled in to make the collage. And notice the image is branded with both her logo and a stylized signature. You can see that down here in this bottom right hand corner, and here's the watermark of her logo, etc. And this is the little extension chain piece, and this is actually the helix, I think it's called, of the DNA strand, which is what this is. So this final image is actually her featured image that I created and we used on the blog post, and it shows the clients holding the pendant and the extension chain. I think it's pretty cool. It's actually the DNA signature of a deadly plague, and yet we made it into an awesome image that she used to narrate, to fit the narrative of one of her blog posts. So we're making that part of her thing, though, to use her sketches in a sub-series of blog posts that come out a little less frequently. We've called these From the Workshop blogs. They always tell the story of the evolution of a piece of jewelry from start to finish. And they're often illustrated with photos of videos of her working on a piece at her workbench or soldering. And the fire and the flames make for great blog post images. They're really stop people in their tracks. But the ring being polished there, whoops, go back a sec. The ring being polished is actually a professional photo I found on iStock Photo. And then I overlaid it with this From the Workshop text block that resembles a Hallmark stamp. So that was the reason for using that. And then actually this is the one that we use now. It's a little bit thicker, but I love this flame. It really shows up well, and that works very well for that series post, a sub-series of blog posts that come out about once a month or so, sometimes a little bit less than that. But you'll see this is how we're using images on her website and in blog posts to brand her company. So you could do something similar with case studies or any type of series post where you want to create a category, which is actually really good for a little bit of Uber SEO. So that's a good way to go. Let's go to this next one. So this is an image that she created herself, and I'm showing you this so that you can feel confident that with just a little help and instruction you can learn to do this for yourself. I think she did a fabulous job. She not only created these rings, but she created this whole featured image for her blog post, which I think is pretty cool. So I like to have some fun with images too, and she has this long-stemmed rose pendant with an associated blog post talking about romance and roses. And the call to action on that was to purchase this piece, and we also have a list builder lead magnet guide associated with these images as well. I found the image of Liz Taylor and Richard Burton, a very famous couple, playing another very famous couple, Anthony and Cleopatra. So I overlaid the rose pendant on Liz's neck. It's a bit out of proportion, I guess, but the idea was to get the message across. And we use this on social media to promote that blog post, and it actually did quite well. So, and here's another thing. Rowley often finds her inspiration from nature, and she took this photo of a dead tree stump in the Matong State Forest, or Matong Forest State Park, I think it's called, in New South Wales in Australia. And that dead tree trunk in the background there somewhere was her inspiration to create this beautiful pendant, which is now available in her Masterworks product range. She has different ranges for different things, but when she told me this would be a masterwork piece, that inspired me to turn to another masterwork, and by adding just a little something right here, I used this image to promote both the jewelry piece and the product category, and it's all perfectly legal because this image is in the public domain. So this, as I say, also got great engagement on social media. And then early this year, when I was on the marketers cruise, And the ladies from Sculpted Jewels were there too. There was a fancy dress party one night, and as I sidled up to the bar, a lady was struggling to step away with a picture frame around her head. And as I stepped back to let her pass me, I saw the image. Well, naturally, I had to drag her over to meet Roly and Sonia. So we took this photo, and Roly turned it into a new blog post with the perfect call to action to buy the Matong tree trunk pendant. But this is how your mind will start to work as you start to see images you can use within a blog post or to stop people in their tracks on social media feeds by creating an unusual or clever or nifty twist on an image. Here's another one that we had. Roly and I wrote a fun post that referenced Downton Abbey, and the title kind of says it all: custom jewelry, not just for the uber rich. And that's a really good target keyword for the bots. And not just for the uber rich grabs the attention of the bots, being the humans. So I ran with the Downton Abbey thread and created an image with Maggie Smith delivering a withering look and tied it into a tagline for the product category: say it, ... like you mean it, with custom order jewelry from Sculpted Jewels. So this is an example of using something current or newsy and spinning it to fit your post. And that's where I use the social image on the right to drive traffic to that particular blog post. So I'm just going to flip through these images. They've all been created to use in blog posts and on social media. Most are branded with the logo, but they don't feature her jewelry. They're designed to be arresting, either because they're fun or interesting pictures. What makes them even more effective is they have catchy text added on top. You can just as easily use GIMP. It's a bit glitchy, but it's free. Paint.net, which is also free. Photo Post Pro, which is freemium, but the good stuff costs about $20. Pixlr, Pixlr, they're all full feature image editors that you could do any of this with. For fast and easy, I would probably say look to Instagram, PicMonkey, which is also free, and Fonto, Phonto, also free. They all do text on photos. Fonto, I know for sure, does Android and iPhone. Canva is also really good. It's freemium. $13 per month or $120, I think it is, for a year, buys you access to more templates and the ability to resize for different platforms. But here's what I've found. 500 pixel square is the smallest square image that will display well without distortion pretty much across most of the main social platforms. And that size also works great to upload to WordPress for your blog posts, because WordPress automatically creates additional size options for you. So I hope this helps you with some resources to find royalty-free images that you can use to help sell the narrative of your blog posts or whatever you need on your website, and also a few tools that you can use to create your own images that you can brand or put your little catchphrases and taglines on, also to help sell the narrative of your blog posts. Thanks so much for joining me. This is Deborah Lloyd with WP-WebWorks.com, and I hope to see you again soon.